Hello, everyone. Welcome back. She Runs Strong podcast, powered by Coach Perry. As always, I have Nikki Friedman here, running coach and part of our amazing team. Nikki, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good today. I'm really excited for this episode. I know Jen has been on our platform for a long time, so I'm really looking forward to this episode and hearing what she has to say. Yes.
Yeah.
So, and how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Also, very excited for this. We've known Jen for a couple of years now. And so that's what we're talking about. We're doing a little coaching call with Jen Frishman. She is from Queens in New York, which is really exciting. I love Queens, been there a couple times. And Jen has a great story. I mean, she started running and then just really went from like a self-made catch to 5K, and then started smashing some half marathons in time, and has recently hit another PB. So we got to get into all of that with Jen, but let me pop her onto the stage now. Jen, welcome. Nice to have you here.
Welcome.
So good to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, really, really
Good
excited.
morning in New York.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes,
exactly. We are all in different situations. I mean, Jen's in New York. I'm in Pretoria. Nikki's in London or
London.
just outside of London. So, yeah, really, really cool. The world's a smaller place, which is nice. But Jen, let's dive straight in. I mean, yeah, tell us a little bit about your running history, but also about you as a person.
Sure. So I've always been busy. I always had just way too much energy. But currently, I have like, I don't know, bazillion jobs. I'm an educator, teacher, like assistant principal. I'm a business owner. I'm a writer for a magazine, a recipe developer. And I say my occupation is I'm also a runner. People ask me what I do. I'm a runner. I never ran before. I used to always exercise and things, do gymnastics as a kid, but I was really mostly when
Mm,
like in my early 40s I started cycling. I was very competitive and doing these 100-mile century rides, and I noticed all my riding friends were doing these things on Strava. They would say brick run, and I was like, well, what's that about? Like, what do bricks have to do with anything? And I found out that there's an idea of like running after cycling. So I said I can do that because Jen's like, I can always do it. And I went outside, threw on some sneakers, ran down the block, was pretty sure I was going into cardiac arrest, turned around, came home and said, this is the dumbest sport. Why does anyone, what is this running business? This is ridiculous. But I said, like, all these people can be doing it for no reason. Like, let me try. And I said, I'm setting myself a goal, 1 month. And I didn't know what couch to 5K was. I just kind of like on my own intuitively said, all right, every
mm,
day I'll just run a little more. And I would really track it. I found Strava on my phone. I didn't even have a smartwatch. Okay, today I'll do point one more, point one more. And after a month, there was a local community 5K, and I said, "Let me try it out." And it took me, and I never did a 5K before, so my goal was not to die. That was the goal. And afterwards, I did it like in 36 minutes. It was 2018, so almost 7 years ago. And I was like, "Wow, I didn't die, and I did it. Let me try." And then the rest of the year, I just got really full dive into it, reading magazines, talking to runners. And the next year, I did the same 5K just to like gauge, and I did it in 10 minutes faster, which then
amazing.
I was like,
Wow.
oh, 10 minutes, that's nothing. But now
Uh,
as a runner, I'm like, 10 minutes, you shaved 10 minutes off your time. So yeah, that's
Exactly.
basically how I got into running, and the
Brilliant.
rest is history, as they say.
are you
Brilliant.
still
And
cycling?
Oh, I don't cycle anymore.
Okay.
so we
You don't
fully
have to pump your
converted.
sneakers when you go running. You just stick them
Yes.
on and go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no gear. You need to have a chat with Dev on our team because he's cyclist turning runner, and we haven't quite converted him fully yet. So we'll get him on.
Yes.
But no, excellent, Jen. Yeah, so from this 5K, so that went from 36 minutes down to 26 minutes, which was amazing. Self coached essentially, and then yeah, and then you joined Coach Perry, right? In and around COVID times. I mean, I think it was just after like 2020, 2021. And then, yeah, how did you go from 5K to half marathon?
So it's really interesting because I was like comfortable 5K. I could do 3 miles. I could just do it faster and faster. And I did everything wrong as I could look at it in hindsight, which is PB. Or you guys say PB. We say PR.
Yeah.
Every run has to be faster and faster and faster. And then COVID happened. I didn't have COVID necessarily, but I think emotionally everyone was just like in this. There's no races to train for. So I was really pushing myself too much, and it was during the summer, and I thought it was because of the heat. It's like, wow, like I can barely eke out a 5K without stopping in the middle, and I was doing 10:30 paces, and I'm like, that's something's off. I got my blood checked, everything was fine. And the lovely thing called Instagram algorithms must have heard me complaining about it to enough people, because one day it popped up Coach Parry, and I was like, what's Coach Parry? And I went to free webinar. Who doesn't love a free webinar? And it's just funny because now I won't go on any of them anymore
Yeah,
because
especially on COVID times, we're all stuck in free
Yeah.
webinars in COVID times.
yes.
But yes.
And Shona was giving this webinar and talking about the 5 important parts of running, which most of them I ignored: the sleeping, the nutrition, the running slow, the strength. I basically was just doing the running. I was just running, and I remember being like, oh, let me try this out. And I signed up. I really was just because I had stopped the gym anyway. And it's the same prices of a gym membership, if anything, cheaper than a gym membership. I said, what do I have to lose? Like, I'm not, I'm not married to it. And then, I don't know. I started with a math program. I had my chest strap, and I was like, it was so annoying because I was like running. Oh, my heart rate's at like a bazillion over a bazillion. I have to slow down. And like, this is never going to work. I'm walking half the time. But after 3 months, my heart rate was down, and I was really able to start training. And I started, of course, with a 5K, and I right away, beat that 5K time again, thank God. And then I got like a little curious, and I was like, I'm going to go for a half marathon. And I think Shona was the one who answered on the forum. Maybe you want to try a 10K first. Like 3 miles to 13. Maybe there's like an in between. You have time, because I knew it's half marathon I was going to sign up for. And that's a big thing for me. Sign up for something and talk about it, so you're too embarrassed to pull out at the end. Because then it was like, I thought you're signing up for a half marathon. Nope, signed up, doing it. And I couldn't believe the first time I did the 10K was like, great. It was a little boring because it was like on this like loop of a boardwalk. But the first time on my own training, because I like to I make up my own routes, just run around the neighborhood. I figure I'm good at the timing. I did 10 miles, and I'm like, I did 10 miles. I can really do this. And I did my first half marathon in Surf City, California, for an organization that I love to, raise money for. So it became like a charity event. And I did it in 2 hours and like, I think 12 minutes and I was like, my goal was, again, not to die. That was just my goal. And I've hit many goals of not dying so far in my run. So yeah, that's how I was so grateful to Coach Parry, because I just really followed most of the things they said. I still wasn't doing nutrition so much, and I can't say I was doing so much strength, but then that was then.
I think there's quite a lot to unpack there. Just
Mm.
if we were to go back and just say, with the math plan that you first came on, that was a heart rate based plan that we brought you on that brings you up nice and steadily into an aerobic base there. So just for folks who are just wondering what a math plan was, just to sort of highlight that. But yeah, sorry, Shona, you were about to speak there. Sorry.
No. I thought you were going to ask a question, but yeah, I think that's what for you was the most important factor in that time, Jen, because you say you weren't quite in the strength yet, and maybe not the nutrition, but yeah, what do you think got you from 5K to then doing a training run and running 10 miles?
So I always tell people the most important muscle you have to become a good runner is right inside your skull. It's so much self-talk and belief, and really reading a lot about what the body's capable of doing. Like I couldn't just say I'm going to run slow to run fast, because that does not make sense in science. And by the way, I still don't know how heart rates work. I still don't understand HRVs and method. I don't understand any of that stuff. I'm an English person. I'm a literature writer. So it's almost like I call it fairy dust imagination that really drives me. Like, I think if I understood it too much, I might slow down. But it was really just, you had the data, and you had the data of showing these people who were like coming on your Monday morning, Monday afternoon for me, whatever time meetings, and saying, these people who are like in their 60s, they're like, oh, I did my first, and I was like, well, not everyone could be wrong. Like, and I really believed it could happen. And then a little by little, after that 5K and doing so well, I was like, but I barely did any fast runs. I was running at like a 10, 11 pace half the time. And it doesn't make sense. And I figured I just have to trust the process. So for sure my brain is my reason.
No, but I mean, I think that's amazing, and that's exactly it. And I can assure you that through this whole podcast, you guys are going to think that we have paid Jen to say certain things, and I promise you that we absolutely haven't. But that's exactly it. Is, you know, for everyone listening, is slowing down those easy and long runs. It's really going to benefit you. And like Jen was saying, like, it doesn't make any sense. And I know we fight with people about this all the time, but that is exactly it. So and Jen, you ended up getting faster and going further, you know, just by slowing your running down. And so, yeah, so no, definitely massive kudos there. Now, so I think that was around like 2021, 2022, probably, when you did, when did you do that half? Was that 2022? That
Something
one, I
like
think it
that.
was.
Yeah. I think it was like right after COVID.
Yeah. So yeah, and then I know that yeah, then you PB'd your half again. But then I know before this most recent PB, which was at the New York half marathon, I know you've experienced quite a bit of loss and quite a bit of stress in the past year. I mean, I know we've been helping you work through it and not have you on a structured training plan. But I mean, how did that affect your training? And if you don't mind, obviously sharing a little bit about that. Yeah.
So before, like, one thing to know is that I have a running partner who I love more than anyone. Her name is Rifki, and she is very into strength. She's a very strong runner. The first time, I got her into running to get me into strength, and I was like barely doing like an 18-pound kettlebell while people were like flying around. And I started doing strength a little bit, but also like, if just practice running faster, you'll get faster. And I noticed that my strength was really, I was getting stronger and I was getting faster. So I had it like in my pocket, but I wasn't going to commit to more than 2 times a week. And then a whole series of things happened. I did a lot of local 5Ks. I think every new runner tries out every 5K within a 5-mile radius or driving radius or whatever. Their first, and I started like really being more specific of what I'm going to do. And I was doing my third half marathon because my second was New York City half, just for fun. It was awful. You're going to have awful races. Everyone needs to know you're going to have awful races. It was 2:23. It was 20 degrees below zero. And I was like, I had this race in Austin, Texas, which I wasn't prepared for because for some reason I got the brief that it was going to be a flat race. Austin, Texas is like this. And
Really?
I PB'd. It was 2:08:27.
Nice.
I was so happy. And what I didn't know was when I was at the start line back in New York, my mother had fallen and died the same morning. Like literally, like as I'm going off. And it sounds like really awful now, but I'm like, I'm glad I found out after the race because I don't know what I would have done.
Yeah.
Like emotions, how I would have handled it. And I didn't even find out till 2 days later because I have a brother with cognitive disabilities, neurodivergent, and he didn't call me till 2 days later. So I didn't even know what was going on, but I came back really wiped from that race. And when I found out, I remember, I'm Orthodox Jewish woman, so we sit Shiva. So 7 days we sit Shiva, and I'm sitting Shiva, and the whole time I'm saying, but it's okay that I'm not running because after a half marathon, you're supposed to sit.
And yeah, you're supposed to recover. So
this is recovery. This is perfect. Thank you. But I really was like, just now with this new taking care of having a new person in my life was a big responsibility. And even though I just didn't have it again. It's like, I guess not just my brain, but emotionally, I wasn't ready to start training again. I had spoken to everyone at Coach Parry. So I asked you guys to put me on just consistency because just showing up is like my motto for like, just show up. You don't have to do a race, just show up. Like, just at least keep your athleticism. Like this this atrophy of not exercising and this muscle memory, but I didn't want to like just lose everything. But I made a small decision in that time. I said, you know what? I'm going to add another. Rifki got me into strength. I'm going to add one more strength training session a week. So I went from 2 to 3. And it's weird. The same runner's high I was getting like strength high. I don't know. You can like coin that term because I'm sure many of our listeners are thinking that maybe Jen takes a little bit of happy pills in the morning. That she would use such weird words. For the record, I don't drink caffeine and I don't drink alcohol. So I'm naturally inebriated and naturally caffeinated. This is just how God made me. And I'm 52 years old. Like, I've been doing this for a bunch of years. And that summer, there was my usual 5K on the boardwalk, which I didn't train for. And I hate training for 5Ks. I love training for halves. 5K is so brutal. Those stupid hill repeats and the feeling that I hate the intervals. They're awful. I hate them. But I was like, you know what? I didn't train. I was literally on the phone with my son in Israel. And I'm like, you know what? There's a race today. It's a little drizzly. I'm gonna go. It was like literally 5 minutes over we have like 3 boardwalks where I live. So I have beautiful run over the boardwalk, sign up, get the bib, and I'm like, let me see what happens, And I had done this same 5K again the year before, because that's like my usual thing. And I came in second in my age group. I did swimmingly. And I'm like, how? I haven't been really running for a whole year. And then I went back and said, oh, I've been doing a lot of strength. I've been doing a lot of strength. So the strength was like the second thing I really took on a lot. Because we said I was only doing 1 out of 5. So I got onto my strength. And
Yep.
the other thing that I really didn't, and I started running to run slow to run fast. And the nutrition was like my last, what do they call it? You know, the last horizon that I hadn't met. And
Yes.
and I love Nikki. Nikki, not, I love you, Nikki, too. But I love the other Nikki also. I
Yes.
actually I've done like meetings with Nikki because I have the worst eating habits. I'm not skinny because I eat well. I really like genetically was blessed in that sense, but I love chocolate and cakes and coffee with lots of syrup and lots of foods that are bad for you. And my doctor had taken some blood tests. Thank God for what he took them for, it was fine. But I found out that I was pre-diabetic and had high
Mm, mm.
cholesterol.
Oh
Everyone
no.
asked me, "You?" I said, "Yeah." The doctor said I need to exercise more and I have to lose weight. They go, "Really?" I go, "No, the doctor did not say that."
No.
But in the last few weeks leading up to this half marathon that I just did in New York City, um, I really stopped sugar. I mean, not maple syrup and whatever, but pure sugar and refined flour. And I have no question in my mind that is the contributing factor of why I did the PR of my 206.58 for this New York City. Because
Yeah.
another thing was 4 weeks before that, I was in Florida to do another half marathon that was scheduled. I have this bad luck with half marathons. And I got the night before the half marathon. I'm like ready to go. I was in the emergency room. The person from the program named Coach Chaim took me to like every, emergency care in Florida. Like totally everything shuts down. It's not like New York. Had the flu and I missed my half marathon and I had to recover from the flu. It took me 3 weeks to even get my sneakers on, and I still
Yeah.
PB'd. See, I'm talking like you now. I still
No.
PR'd all
Yeah.
because of nutrition. So it's
Yeah.
like you can't say the program's not going to work. Even if I did a little bit of the program, I got faster. But once I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like,
Yep.
thank you
Then
God,
magic.
like
Yeah,
I was able
magic.
to do all those things.
Yeah. Nikki, I'm sorry if do you have something you want to go into there or
I was just going to ask a quick question there.
no, please.
Had you done strength training before, or was this a new thing for you?
If you want to recover from sessions faster, not feel tired all the time, run pain and injury free, and improve your endurance, then be sure to join me in my upcoming training specifically for female runners over the age of 45. In it, I'll share with you my simple 5-step framework that'll transform your running. Simply scan the QR code on screen now or click on the link in the description to save your seats in the training now. We look forward to seeing you there.
So I did the like,
Lovely.
the young. When I had children, I was like, when I was pregnant. One thing, I'm glad retroactively, like I must have had Coach Perry in my head. I really didn't exercise a lot. I was just too nervous to overdo it. So I would do strength, but I much preferred Zumba and all the fun, getting my energy out. But strength was something. I did it enough to really understand form. So when I went into this new strength thing, I really was able to have form, even though I go to Fit Studios and Sarah's like an amazing coach and she's always like, move this here, move that there. I know, but I hated strength. Like I really hated it. It was to me something you have to do for osteoporosis. But now my goal in life is to go faster. So if I do one more rep, I might go faster. If my core is stronger, I might go faster. You bet I'm going to do 10 more reps. So it's like, again, that like seeing like a long-term goal. This makes me, I want to be, my goal is to be doing marathons when I'm 100 years old. That's my goal. I mean, I don't know if it's going to
Love
happen,
that.
but it's a goal.
Good goal.
How do you feel? So you do it because you're going to get faster, but do you still hate it, or do you
I love it. I love it.
you love it?
I go to these classes and I love my classmates. We're 6 a.m.ers. I'm up at 4 every morning, so I go to the 6 a.m. class, and we're just a nice group of amazing people. But like, I get a little like, okay, I'm the oldest woman in this group, and I can still do it, and I
Cool.
leave the class just so happy. I really love strength. I know I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd in a lot of ways, but like
No. I also really, really love strength. So no, so that's good. And I'm so glad that you've seen the benefit with that for sure. So I think I just want to just go, because you've said a lot there, and it's good to unpack some of it. I mean, I think, that you came out of a time that was quite stressful, but the important thing there was that you were just ticking over. You from a structured training plan, you weren't following anything too structured, but you're running, and you're obviously consulting with the coaches here and there. But I mean, and I've said this so many times on this podcast, people must think that I'm just a broken record, but the importance of strength training. I mean, you were running a little bit less, but you added another strength session, and it just, and I mean, you went and smashed that 5K. So, I mean, that must have surprised you quite a bit as well, being, someone who loves running as much, right?
It's absolutely, even when it comes to like my next goal, I still haven't done a full, but I had spoken to the coaches about this because I'm a Sabbath observer, and also we have a business on Friday that is insane, and I'm looking at the amazing schedule you have for me, and I'm making sure that all my blocks are green and not pink, and trying to like remember to put in the strength. And on Fridays I'm always like, I like to do like a half an hour quick run right before the Sabbath to like get into like my energy, but I can't always do it. But I switched that run to a strength class, and at the beginning I was like, now I'm going to be really slow, and now I'm like, no, when I have a choice of strength or running, if I have to like reduce, it's always going to be strength. And even not just that, I don't know if it makes sense because I've never even asked you this, but this is a question I have for you, and that is, sometimes my strength isn't even so intense. Sometimes my strength is more of a yoga Pilates based core body weight thing, and I'll do that almost like to teach myself that if I slow down in strength a little bit and not go full throttle to prevent injury, I found, I don't know if I think that's a better decision for me also, especially
Yep.
at my age.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. There's two aspects of strength that we need to focus on as females over 45. So the one as female runners over 45, let me be specific. One is going to be injury prevention, making sure that we're not getting injured for running, because running is cyclic, right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot. So the injury prevention part of that is key. And we always get people telling us that our strength is too easy. Always. Like our strength classes, they always like, oh, Shona, it needs to be harder. And it doesn't. It needs to complement your running. We want you to run. We want you to have legs for running. And so we want that to complement your running. And so there's that aspect. So definitely, I think you adding that in would have been really, really good. And then just the second aspect for female runners over 45, we want to have that building lean muscle. And that's when we are lifting and, doing the classes and that sort of thing. So definitely both of those aspects. And then those are the ones where you can burn and, feel like you're getting out of breath. And those are the ones where you can then push a little bit harder for sure. So yeah, great question, Jen. I love that.
Right.
Yeah.
I also want to add that I think it's also knowing your personality type that's so important with any fitness. Like I have friends like, I hate running. Well, of course we love our runners. What about your knees? I have a
Yeah.
torn meniscus in my knee for years from my cycling, and I believe the strength has helped that. I also am a
Good.
big believer in Sarno and mind over matter, and that also dealing with everything, their whole body. When I'm hyper stressed or emotional or anxious, it definitely takes a toll on my body, and just making sure that that aspect of my body is really healthy. But yeah, it's just so interesting with your classes. I used to always go on your classes. I was like, I'd be like,
I
hi,
remember.
and I'm always a big mouth asking 1,000 questions, and I
Yeah,
have
good.
my all my weights and whatever. But I was finding that I would just always find an excuse as, oh, 11 o'clock my time. And I found that for me to go to an exercise class, I have to be publicly humiliated for not going. So I better show up to
Yes.
class because they're all going to say, "Where are you?" Like that's my
Yeah.
push, because if I don't come to Coach Parry, like maybe I would get an email, "Where have you been?" But like it is
What you do.
easier.
Yeah.
But I really have to say, as much as I do really heavy stuff, I went from an 18-pound kettlebell, like I said, to like an 80-pound in RDLs. I don't
Nice.
see that much of a difference of killing it versus doing the type of Monday, Wednesday, Thursday
Mm.
classes you have, like in their different levels. I definitely think they were more than adequate for me to
Oh.
be able to get stronger. So you don't have to become like this muscular Miss US Universe person to be a fast runner.
No, you don't.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Nikki. And yeah, you don't. And it's so funny as women, the fear is becoming bulky, right? Like bulking
Yeah.
up. But also I always speak to women, they go, no, I just want to tone. And I'm like, yeah, but do you know what toning is. It's muscle. It's building muscle. So if you want to tone, we have to build muscle. We don't, and you have to eat a lot of protein to bulk, right?
Yeah.
So that's, I agree with you. That's not that's not the goal. We want to run well. We want to live life. We want to be functional when we get older, and we want to look after our bones, and we want to be able to function. Exactly. So for me, it's like a buy one get one free sort of thing, you know. So that's why I love strength training.
And I'm also proud of myself. My biggest pride is when I wake up and I really just physically, I'm just like fatigued, like more than usual. And I'll say, it's okay to skip a session and I don't have to make it up. Oh, I skipped a session, so let me just do double the next day. No, you skip a session and then you move on and I learned all that from you guys. I'm telling you, if I'm a little bit calmer, my children and my husband, thank you, because I'm not so intense. I'm not so obsessive about missing my runs or my whatever. I definitely make it my priority. But if I really feel like I'm just not feeling it and it might cause detriment, I'm confident that I'm going to be able to get back on the wagon as soon as, I can.
Amazing. Just in terms of your strength then and that sort of structure, and then you said you spoke to Nikki, our nutritionist at Coach Parry. What were the changes there that you kind of brought in to help with your training that have been key?
So I remember on one of the coach calls with Nikki, I was like, I really like Cocoa Puffs. I really, really like Cocoa Puffs. Please don't make me stop eating them. And her direction and her philosophy of just, it doesn't mean you have to like have a strict rigid diet, but just make better choices. And I did always have the benefit of weight gain or feeling that wasn't an issue. My choices of just replacing a whole bowl of Cocoa Puffs with maybe half, and then have some oatmeal or something.
Yes.
Just doing that. And I'm gonna be honest, it really didn't help me. No, it didn't help me. It didn't push me enough, because at the end of the day, I just was so addicted to like the sugar and so addicted to like, I didn't realize the difference. But when I got this like choice from the doctor, like, I can put you on medication, which might affect my running. So I didn't want to go on it. Or you could see if you could lower, things that cause our high cholesterol. And then I started doing that. And I actually have a coach, a meeting, a one-on-one with Nikki for next week to find out more about glycemic levels and how it affects running. And even Coach Parry, who I always wonder if he's like shaking his head when he sees me in a meeting, like, okay, Jen's going to come up with some crazy question. But he told me about the fact that while I'm in the middle of a crazy run, like a half marathon, I could eat my jelly beans or whatever gels and not worry. Like, just having that information at the ready for me is like so important. But changing a diet is really hard unless you really are dedicated to your why. And my why was at the beginning, just I wanted to eat healthier because you told me it's important. And then my why became, you really don't want to become medicated if you don't have to. And then it's like cumulatively all the stuff I've been hearing and learning from Nikki and from all these things, like, oh, here's information. Remember when she said this? And it became easier. Like the same way I've become consistent with my running. I'm just trying to become consistent with my eating. And if some days when I'm eating my steel cut oats and my chia pudding, and at the end of the day, I really just want a slice of pizza, I'm going to have a slice of pizza, and that's okay. Like I learned from Coach Parry the philosophy of like, don't be an insane person. Like, thank God. Because I'm a little insane. Whatever. I'm also calmer. Since I went off the sugar, I know you're like asking, this is you calmer. I really got a little bit like less like reactive since I like lowered my sugar. So that's a good thing too.
I promise that it's not written in like our bylaws that we tell people not to be insane. But I get your points is to if I can round that up, I guess, to be consistent. And consistent doesn't mean discipline, waking up every day, doing everything. It's about getting majority of the stuff done majority of the time, So if you do, like you said earlier, like if you do a little bit of not a little bit, but if you do 80% of the plan almost, you're probably going to improve, because it's just building blocks on top of each other. And I love that principle almost is run through, for you in terms of nutrition as well, is getting it right 80 or 90% of the time. And I think that's just such a powerful way, in particular for females, just not being restrictive, not, trying to force these issues, especially trying to manage weight in this time. And I just find it then affects their running, because they're not fueling enough for their runs. And so I love that, like doing the right thing majority of the time, from a nutrition, from a running, from a strength point of view. 80% out of 100, it's yeah, my parents would have been chuffed if I got that at school as well.
Right.
So yeah. So no,
I'm
for
a
sure.
teacher. I would have been proud of you for 80%.
Thanks,
It's true.
Jen.
My students get an 80. My students get an 80. They're like, what's a good grade? And I'm like, did you put 100% in? Then the 80 is 100%, is your 100%.
Exactly. There we
That's
go.
like, I have a question for you guys, if I may, before you want to
Yes.
unpack anything else. So another one of my whys, another one of my things that's really helped drive my running is we have a lot of community involved in running now. And I have two communities. One of them is my why is especially in light of my brother, I raise money for an organization called Friendship Circle, which helps with kids with inclusion. And they help my brother and they help a lot of people. So I always have like a race I raise money for. Thank God. I think to date I've raised for them almost $20,000 from different races.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'm a little bit like convincing. Please, please, please sponsor my race. And the other thing is, since October 7th, someone in our community named Ezra Feig started a running group called Nice Jewish Runners. It was one small group that started out in Manhattan, and I lost count of how many all over the world, different groups. And our group is the 5 towns in Far Rockaway. And we have runs every Sunday, and we have other runs. Like I have a sunset run that I'm leading tomorrow. We're like very into that community aspect of it. But people on the runs, they ask questions, and I was like, they ask me questions, and I'm like always, Coach Parry. And one person I had spoken to recently said, no, as you're getting older, you have to not exercise so much, because you're more at risk to get hurt, and then recovering from an injury is much harder when you're older. And I saw his philosophy on that. Like, you don't want to overdo it because you might just break bones, or you might whatever. But is there really, like, how do you feel in terms of, like, even for male runners, not just female runners, that the extra burden on the body, is there really some aspect that maybe someone is overdoing it, and maybe I am a little bit too much of a lunatic with my running, because I don't want to injure myself. That's always my big thing, and my balance and stuff like that. So what do you say to that?
Nikki, I'm happy to jump in and then to give your 2 cents as well if you want. But yeah, I mean, so yes and no. Okay, so I mean, the answer always, and as a sports scientist, people hate it, is it depends. Okay, but it does. As we age, though, we do need more recovery time. So when you're 20 and your 30s, you can just go all out, and you don't need as much recovery time. So as we're getting older, male and female, we need more recovery time. So I mean, you say like maybe you're going a little bit too crazy, but you're not. You don't run more than 4 times a week. Well, not on the Coach Parry plan, anyways. I know, and so we do that specifically because if you run more than that, you're not going to get the recovery that allows you to improve or gives you the benefits of all the exercise that you're doing. So yes, you do need more recovery time as we age, but yeah, the way that message almost came across from your friend was a bit like, the older we get, the less we must do. I think it's about balancing that structure. Like, how much running are you doing? How much strength training are you doing? Let's make sure we're balancing it so you're maximizing your recovery. You say the thing about, like, people always say, oh, well, running damages your knees. I'm like, well, no, doing nothing damages your knees a lot more,
Sitting on your couch doing nothing damages your knees.
That damages your knees. So it's a balance. And as we get older, yes, we do need more recovery, but it's about how we structure that. Nikki, I don't know if there's anything you want to add there?
I was absolutely going to say that. It's a balance. That's the word I was going to use. And it's a balancing act. When I coach younger folks, they can hammer it, they can get sick, and then the next week they can be fine and they go again. I find personally, I'm 54, that if I get an illness or just a simple flu or a cold, it can take me longer to recover. A wee injury can take a little bit longer to recover. So actually not getting those injuries and not getting sick in the first place is critical or key. So therefore, doing a little bit less so your immune system isn't compromised, that is going to be the key, and that is down to recovery, as Shona was saying there. So less is more, definitely, if you're looking for health optimization. Definitely. I guess. Yeah.
It's so funny you say that, because like before this race I had in New York City, I was invited. One of my very close friends' daughter got married, and we danced in circles like at the weddings, and I was holding hands, and I wouldn't go next to anyone. I'm like, I am not getting sick.
Mm,
I am
mm.
not getting sick. I was like, it's so antisocial. No, I'm pro
No.
running. I'm not
Yeah.
antisocial. And as
Yeah.
far as younger
No.
runners, is like I have students. I teach middle school, and I'm like assistant principal in
Mm,
the middle school boys, and they was like, Mrs. Frishman, we could beat you because we're so much younger. And I'm like, I have no doubt that if we would start out on the boardwalk, you would do that first mile much faster. But when we get to mile 1, you're gonna be a schmata on the
yeah.
floor.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
like the one thing I think as an older runner that I have is just seeing the bigger picture and
Mm,
committing and being, even though I have 1,000
mm,
jobs, I can still be committed to my runs with my
no.
teaching, some of my own children to exercise and run. Like they don't always have that same like they don't see the importance of continuing and doing it every day,
Yeah.
even when you don't feel like. Sometimes I wake up and I have intervals on and I'm in bed and I'm like, I don't want to go. And I go, just show up. You don't have to do all the
Yep.
intervals. Just show up. And when you start, we all know what happens when we start. We
Yeah.
just
Yep.
Exactly.
finish
We just
them.
carry on. Jen, I'm so glad you brought up community there with those groups that you're part of. But I mean, and you've spoken to me privately about the community on the Coach Parry platform. But I mean, that's been a big part of your journey, right? In your successes, in your most recent PB, in your journey with us, even as well. Yeah, tell us a little bit about how that's impacted you.
So with Coach Parry, so because of the time difference, so sometimes it's 1 o'clock when I have the meeting here. I don't know who's changing the clocks. I don't think South Africa. I think it's our
No,
fault.
we say the
Sometimes
same. Yeah,
it's
yeah,
still not.
yeah,
And when I finally remember, we switch it again. I've been on meetings, and I always love. First of all, I love that Coach Parry is always changing around who's giving the in-person Monday meeting, but there's always everyone's smiling when someone's talking and nodding their head. And even though I don't know you from Australia or
yeah.
I don't know what country some people are from, but just like people like of like-mindedness who are both in this,
Mm,
running over 50 like cycle of community gives me so much strength. A lot of times I'll ask a question and somebody will like in the Zoom text me, "Oh, you want to try this foam roller?" and they'll put the link in there. And there was one really nice person when I brought up the my whole pre-diabetes concerns who texted me and gave me their information if you want to reach out because I've dealt with a similar thing. And now we follow each other on Strava. Like I'm waiting to meet
yeah.
somebody in where I live in Farakwe in the 5 towns who like is a Coach Parry person.
Yes.
I've recruited a bunch of people, so I knew them already, but I would love to be like discover, oh, there's more Coach Parry people here. But having community, running for some people is very much solitude. I'll tell some people, we have this nice Jewish runners, you want to run with us? And they'll look at me like I offered to feed them, I don't know, like toxic waste. Like, why would I want to run with other people? They'll say, running
Mm,
is my Zen place. And I have a balance. I do like half marathons by myself. I don't ever run with someone. But at the same time, there's something about running with people next to you, even if they're in another country. You know that someone, I look forward to like seeing people's accomplishments on your weekly email, and I get like this big
mm,
high. Jen hit a PB, woohoo! Like I know that I'm gonna get like a lot of kudos from my Coach
mm.
Parry friends. So I think that's a huge component of being. It's not just give me a schedule, I'll meet you next week. It's give me a schedule, and I could put a question in the forum, and the answer comes, and I learned the word chuffed, and that's the most important part of being chuffed with Coach Parry.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That is such a because that's a British thing, right? As well.
Is it?
Nikki
Right. Oh,
chuffed,
okay.
like to
Right.
say that you're chuffed about something, and we've obviously taken that from our British slash Dutch
Yeah.
heritage, and our American clients or members are always like chuffed. That's an interesting word. So
Oh, I
which is
never thought
quite
about
cool.
it before.
Yeah,
There you
yeah,
go.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
funny.
So yeah,
That's
so
great. That's
go ahead, Nikki. Go ahead.
I was going to say that's just great to
Mhm.
hear, Jen. It's always great when you get feedback about the coaching calls and the forum and stuff. We put a lot of time and effort, and we really enjoy doing them. So it's always really great that people get a lot of value and enjoy them. So it's fantastic.
And you
Yeah,
remember us. Like you'll say, "Oh, I'll come in the meeting
Yes.
and say," that," and they'll say, "Oh, Jen, how is your knee from?" But like, I'm like, "How do you remember me? You have 2 bazillion people on this forum, and you remember me." But you guys make it your business to get to know us, and I think in
yeah.
the onboarding is the most genius way of doing things because then you really will recognize people when they show up to the forum meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's something we work very hard on, and so I'm really glad about that, because it's a hard thing to do, to create community with people who live in Seattle and New York and London, and we're based in South Africa, and you're based, Nikki, in London, and so we have, so thank you. I will pass it on to the team as well. But yeah, and then Jen, what's next? You alluded to a marathon. What's the next goal? What's the next goal for you?
Next?
So I have, thank God, I have a grandson. They're actually coming today. I was like so happy to do the interview now, because once they come, I have my stroller ready to stick him in, to take him on my runs with me. And I want him one day to say, my grandma, my Bubby knows how to run at marathons. So my goal is 1 marathon. I want to do New York City because I live in New York City, and I actually did the cheer squad for New York City this past one. And if anything makes you addicted, is that the cheering is just being in cheering for New York City is exciting. It's hard to get in. It's very, like, 4% of participants get in. But I spoke to Shona yesterday about it. I think maybe if not, I'm going to look into, Philadelphia. But that's my goal. And just the way I said, I'll never do a 10K. I did 10K. I'll never do a half. I did a half. I have no doubt, even if I have to walk the damn thing, I'm going to do a full marathon. I mean, I don't know more than one, but I get ahead of myself. So let's start with 1. I don't know. And I know, and I'm confident I'm going to do it, because I have you guys. Like, you're going to, like, walk me through, run me through the entire thing. And I plan on doing it with 3 runs a week. I want to plan for a marathon that's 3 runs a week. Like, that way I'm not going to be, like, aggravated,
Yep, definitely. Nikki and I just both sort of had a chuckle there when you were like, I'm going to do 1 marathon. I was like, a lot of people only do 1 marathon, and that's kudos. I think that's amazing. But a lot of people also do 1 marathon and then go on, and they're like, oh, but now I've done New York, now I must do Philadelphia, now I must do London, now I must do. So
and Jen shows those signs.
Yeah, Jen, you're the perfect personality for that. Exactly. So no, so look, we'll hold this podcast for you. So when you come to say, guys, I've done New York and now I want to do, I don't know, a Big Sur or whatever.
Live here from Jerusalem. There's a Jerusalem marathon. And if you think that Austin has hills, Jerusalem just, like, wipes everyone off the map in hills. So that's another goal one day.
Yeah.
There are so many amazing marathons to do once you get started. So
yeah. Exactly. So, and I mean, so much running to enjoy. Yeah, exactly, Nikki, you're spot on. So, Jen, I mean, Comrades Marathon is a very different beast. But and once you start those, you have to do 2 because it's up and down. So you have to do both races, But you have to come and visit us in South Africa, anyways. But Jen, thank you. Your story is amazing. You're inspirational. How you've come from 5K to your half. The trials and tribulations that you've been through and the hard times, and how you still, jumping back and responding and living your life is inspirational. And we're very happy to have you on the team. We love having you on the team. And so thank you for your time today. But I just, as a last question, was to ask if you have a message that you want to send to your fellow runners who are over the age of 45 or 50. What is your messaging?
Just do it. Just stop. No excuses. If one more person tells me that they can't because just do. So try it. So run slower. Just try it. Give yourself what I did at the beginning. Imagine if I ran home after my apparent cardiac arrest and said, "That's it. I'm done." Just give yourself a schedule. Give yourself a month. Try it for a month, and don't just, like, try it half. Whatever. I'm going to be polite how I speak here. Just go do research. You could even go on new webinars. The webinars are free. Just do information and then just show up. And afterwards you can recalibrate. That's, if I wouldn't have done that, if I wouldn't have stuck to it, then I don't know where I'd be now. And it's changed my life in such a positive way. Maybe the family members don't think so, but it's changed my life, and it's given me so much it's changed my overall attitude towards how to approach anything in life that seems scary or new. Just try it out. That's it. What's the worst that'll happen? You'll stop doing it. One day you'll stop, and then you'll not have any regrets for not trying. That's my message. Whatever.
Brilliant. I love that. I love
Great.
it. Nikki, anything from your side before we call it quits?
No, I like Jen's takeaway there. Just do it. Just get out there, have a wee go, run a bit slower, and just do it. Love it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jen.
Get involved for sure. So absolutely love that, Jen. Again, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, really enjoyed having you on the She Runs Strong podcast. And so all of you listening, pop some comments down below. Give Jen some kudos on a recent half marathon PB and on her way to her first marathon. So exciting times. But great guys. We will see you all soon. And thank you so much for listening. Bye everyone.